DMT World presents The Rambling Rabbit, and I am its host, HappyKB. Welcome to The Rambling Rabbit. It's me, HappyKB, the host. So today we have a very special guest with us, and we have sitting in the hot seat is poTASSYum from the community. poTASSYum, how are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Excited to be with you.
Great. I'm going to probably call you Tassie just because I'm more used to calling you Tassie than poTASSYum, but I think poTASSYum is a great name, especially the way that you spell it. So do you eat a lot of poTASSYum?
Most of the time I buy poTASSYum, meaning to eat the bananas, and we got to do the banana bread thing instead. So I guess, yeah. Just not in a timely fashion.
Are you an avocado eater?
I do mess with avocado. I like avocado a lot.
Because avocado is very high in poTASSYum. And so if you can't get around the bananas, you should eat some guacamole and you'll be good to go. So just a little tidbit for you. Avocados are high in poTASSYum as well. So
did not know that.
The things that you learn. So I'm so glad that you agreed to be a guest on the Rambling Rabbit. I will let you know that you are the very first female community member that I have had on the show. So that's cool. That's a first. That's wonderful. We're going to just sit.
Yeah.
I don't know if the community actually knows, but we have actually met. I got to meet Tassie when we went to Ann Arbor for the Ethnofest, which that video is getting so closer and closer by the day. So we should be getting, we'll see it here shortly. So my camera person is working very diligently going through hours and hours of footage. I didn't realize how much we actually did when we came and saw you and all the things that we did. So she's just been going through it when she's got time and she's not working. So it'll be exciting. I can't wait to see it. But so yeah. So gosh, so much has happened since I have seen you. You are in what state are you located in?
We're in Ohio, baby. Legalization. We're like 6 days away.
Oh my gosh, I was going to ask how close you guys were. So 6 days ago. So what does that mean? In 6 days, everything is ready to go, and are the dispensaries up and will be ready to rock and roll, or will you have to wait for that as well?
So it is sounding like, based on everything that we've read and looked into, that dispensaries, we're not really looking at having too many recreational ones for like a year, which I think is how it kind of went with Michigan too. I'm really hoping that some will have like a quicker turnaround since we do have some medical dispensaries. But as far as like the 7th, that it's sounding like we'll be able to have plants. We'll be able to like consume any place that like you can legally consume tobacco. I don't know what the like DUI stipulations are going to be on that, but I'm sure they'll have some.
Mm-hmm. There's got to be some.
But yeah,
I don't know how they'll DUI it. That's really just kind of hard to. I mean, I just think I don't know how they're going to regulate all that. But gosh, that's cool. Okay, so when did they get passed? It got passed when we did this last voting stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. During the last like local elections. So in ours, it was like issue 2 is what the issue was on our ballots. And it passed that Tuesday. I believe it was the 7th. I believe that's why it takes a month for it to like be enacted.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay. You've had medical though already, right?
Yeah, Ohio's been medical since, at least last year, but it could be longer. You would think I would know that being here, but that didn't help me at all.
How easy is it to get a cannabis card, a medical marijuana card? Do you know?
I never went through the process because I knew that when medical happened that they were like, it was a sticky situation with like gun rights with that card.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't know exactly. I have lots of friends who have cards who said it was a very easy process. They just went in and were like, these are the boxes that I check. And then they walked out with it. Like,
Well, yeah, that's what
most,
I've heard too. I've heard that too. It's just in Missouri, like I've had a few people that are like, oh yeah, you can just easily go and just go in and be like, yeah, I want to do this. And you just fill out this little questionnaire and they maybe ask you a few questions and then they sign it over. I mean, I don't know how how else would they do it? I mean, it doesn't make, I don't get it. Like, now, see, I'm like you. I wouldn't go that far. Like even probably when Kansas goes medical, like I mean, I'll still old school it. I can just drive to Kansas City if I really needed that bad. But like, I kind of, I don't know. I just old schooling technique right now is it just I don't know any different. Like when I came up to see you guys and we went over to Detroit, it's like I've been in maybe 2-3 dispensaries in my life. And that was Colorado. And then there was like one in Vegas. Vegas was the first place I ever went to a dispensary. And it was weird. I'm ahead. I'm this little, I want a head shop. That's not what I walked into in Las Vegas. It was like this weird warehouse. Like you walked in, I felt like I walked into a warehouse. And then, the front was like, it was very like sterile. I remember a lot of metal. Like it was like, it was weird. And then we had to go through, we had to like give them all of our stuff. Couldn't take a bag in. You had, and then you walk through this locked door that had like cameras and like this guy met us at the door and like rushed us in. And I mean, it was all bizarre. And then like going in and I remember the ceilings seemed really low in this place I was at. It wasn't bright and shiny like when I went to Detroit, that one we went into, like that was bright and shiny and like happy. No, my first one in Vegas was not like that. And then, they like took us around these, like, it reminded me of like a jewelry store. And, they had all the viewing cases. And like, I remember them pulling out, buds in these containers that had holes on the top so you could smell them. Right. I mean, I just remember standing there and like, what the hell is this? Like, all I wanted was a head shop type feeling. I just wanted to like I don't know, maybe a hippie to walk out of the back room, like, here with a bag. And I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. But my first experience with a dispensary was not real welcoming. So, maybe I have this thing in my brain where I'm like, do I care if Kansas goes legal or not? But no, like you guys are so happy and it's exciting to talk to you guys when, you guys are almost there. Like you guys smoke hella bud. Like,
yeah, I guess you got a little glimpse into that.
Like the tornado probably is one of my most favorite, things I've ever smoked out of my entire life. Like I keep looking for like one's prices to go down on some, because like I'm going to invest in one of them things. Like, but like every time I turned around, my camera person said that too. She's like, every time I turned around, we were like, we were still smoking. We got off the train and we started smoking. And then we when we quit smoking was, but I think I was sober kind of by the time I got back to Chicago on the way home. So like, it was super fun. So how close will a dispensary be near you guys? That way you don't have to drive clear across to another state.
So we don't know exactly. We're luckily not too far for like some bigger cities, and honestly, there are already some medical ones closer than I thought, like within 30 minutes of us.
I bet they turn fast. I bet there's something in the works of their contract. There has to be, because how easy would it be to swing over to a recreational dispensary?
And that's what I'm kind of like hoping and banking on, is that like, since they do already have those ones set up, they'll just do whatever paperwork, because I'm sure they've got paperwork to do, yeah. And things like that. And hopefully it'll just like flip over really fast. We will get to have like plants. Like next week, I can't remember how many it is, but you do get to start like also doing like home grows and things like that. So I know that is something.
Are you going to grow some plants? Are you going to become Mrs. Green Thumb?
I'm definitely hoping that is what will happen because I already care so much about the Discord tree. Like, what if I had my own little trees for real?
Oh, dang, we have a Christmas tree in there. I forgot to go water that. Yes, but yeah, you need to grow. You need to start growing. We've got a couple people in our community that are growing, and I think they can give you lots of pointers. They'd be happy. They'd be like, oh, yeah, that I'm a little jealous you guys have gone legal. Like, and I don't have to go all the way to Michigan. I can just go up to you guys.
Right, shoot.
Have to go that direction, even though we were going to go back that direction. We are going to start planning that after the first of the year. Is that correct?
I was going to say, yeah, we're looking at Hash Bash, right?
Hash Bash. Yeah, let's talk about it. Do you know the dates? Do you know the dates off the top of your head?
I know that it's like in April, but it's not April 20th because we've talked about like my birthday is also in April. So like we usually make like a big thing about the 20th and my birthday. But I think that Hash Bash is a little bit before the 20th. Like I want to say 4th or 14th, but neither of those feel right either. So nobody quote me on that. Google is your best friend on that.
So what we're talking about is we're planning on going back to Ann Arbor, Michigan for Hash Bash. That is sometime in the late spring, I think it is. We will get more information out there on the site and talk about that. We'll do another KB's Caravan up to that direction when we do that because that'll be super fun. And we are going to let people know where we're going to be staying at this time. That way, if you wanted to stay closer or if we're getting some accommodations to where we can allow lots of people, like a B&B or like an Airbnb or whatever, that's something that we're going to be talking about and planning. And so keep your eyes peeled on the site. Tassie and myself will be having those conversations and probably be putting out information. So I don't know how many people know this on the site, but you're married to somebody in my community, aren't you?
Sure am. We've got DJ Clapp or Hatchinoy Roy. He's got a couple names floating around out there.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if people know if he's the same person or not, or if they've having in two separate, like, you hear Claptrap, you're like, oh, that's the guy, the music guy, the guy that's in Discord, or you hear Hatchinoy Roy, and they're like, oh, that's the cactus guy in the community that's on staff. Like, I wonder how many people don't know that he is the same. He embodies the same being.
Yeah, I've always wondered if I look silly, like flirting with him, like on the site, and then getting on the like Discord and flirting with him. Like that poTASSYum girl, she gets around.
That's funny. I don't know. That's funny. I guess we'll see if anybody says anything after they've listened to this interview. So we'll get him on on an interview one of these days if we can convince him. I'm sure we can twist his arm and get him on eventually, but not this year. We'll wait till after the new year. By the way, I hear there's a rumor we might be having a Christmas jam night. If that's in the works, like, that's great. I've already started making some advertisement things for it, so that is going to come up. I think, did he set a date? Was it the 24th?
Don't let me put words in his mouth because I know that he's been working on the playlist. But as soon as I say it's the 24th, he'll be like, "Woman, I said the 21st."
Oh, actually, maybe it's the 23rd. No. Christmas is on a Monday. So it's right. I believe it's on Saturday the 23rd, but we'll get more information on that as well because you'll see my little Christmas tree that I've been working on, the DMT Christmas tree that I'm going to advertise the jam night, which everybody should come because we will have some giveaway prizes on the jam night, and that's always fun. I had to order more keychains, by the way. I finally got rid of all of those that I had ordered.
That was a good time. I love having a reason to like walk up to people and talk to them because I'm not good at usually doing that if I don't have a reason to. So that was really awesome in TheoFest to have like a reason to go and talk to people and like engage with so many different people while we were out there.
You did so good, because there was no way that I would have been able to hand out. For those people that don't know, when we went to TheoFest, Tassy, I brought stickers and keychains and I don't know, pins that had the Rambling Rabbit, that was DMT World, and she walked out and gave it to the community and like connected with a bunch of people and just talked to him about it. We had lots of people that came up and talked to us. And I don't know, I gave you those stickers and the next thing I know, you were gone. And I remember turning around and I was like, where'd she go? And they're like, I think she's handing stuff out. She's talking to people. Sure enough, there you are. You just fluttered around the whole little, I don't know what I would have done if you weren't there. Like, cause I couldn't have done that. And my camera person couldn't have done that either. Like we were too busy trying to like video and talk to people, which that was crazy too. We're gonna in the future, hopefully we have some better equipment. We'll get there. This is all trial by error, like trying to get hooked up tonight on the Discord recorder. Like this is all trial and error. I can't get too upset about it. And I have such great people that like to come and sit here and just shoot the shit with me like you. So it's awesome.
It's been awesome to watch it all get started up too. Like listening to one of the first ones. I were out with my family and we were listening to the Rambling Rabbit, and I don't know. It's just been like really neat. It made me feel like I had gotten to know you a little bit before I had even gotten to know you, and now like having met, and now we're doing this podcast. Like this episode,
yeah. It's fun. The one thing that so I have this aversion to talking to people like on the phone. I'm not a phone talker. Okay. It's not my favorite thing. Anybody that has been in a friendship or a relationship with me knows I'm not a phone talker. I don't like to sit for hours on the phone. Not now. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, that phone was glued to my ear, but we didn't have mobile phones. So like you had to like sit on the floor in front of the TV, like sit there, or in my room. I guess I had a phone in my room. So like, that's totally different. But now that we're so accessible, like I hate the phone. Everything's on mute. It doesn't ring. It doesn't make noises. It vibrates, but that's about it because I can't stand the phone. So doing the podcasts, I don't have it as much now, but like when I'd sit down and start getting things ready, I get this anxiety to having to like talk to people. And because I don't know, it's like, it's the same with meeting people. Meeting you guys, like it was like, oh my God, we got to meet new people. What are they going to think about us? Are they going to like us? Are we going to gel? Are they going to, and it's just that, and I get that anxiety when I'm talking to people as well. Just I've never talked to them before. Because for 4 years, like I'm not the person that would sit and talk to people in the community. I barely even would sit and Discord message people. Like I just kept my distance, and just everything that I did was on the side of on site. So now it's really fun to get to listen and like hear people's voices, like to see, do these people match up to the voice that I have in my head? Like you and Batchanoy, Roy, Claptrap, you guys were exactly the way that I saw you in my head. You sounded and looked exactly what I thought. Like when we were getting there, and my camera person's like, so do we know who we're looking for? Do we know what they look like? And I'm like, nope. But I'm sure we'll find them. I knew we would find it. Like I was looking for long hair. I was looking for a redhead. I mean, that's what I knew. So I would have seen you guys. But when he sent me a picture, I'm like, there you go. She's like, yep, okay. That looks like people we're going to be fine with. They don't look like axe murderers. So you guys passed the looking test at least. But right. No, it's fun. It's the podcasts are fun. It was fun doing the Rambling Rabbit. The thing that kills me is just time. I just don't have time. Like working 2 jobs, and then, still my kid still lives at home and take care of the parents. So it's like, if I could just sit down and dedicate, if I could get up and dedicate working hours, day time to this, like I feel I'd be so much further. But time is a bitch. So I don't have a lot of time. But when I do have time, I like to sit and talk to people that I enjoy. So that's why you're sitting here because, well, I enjoy talking to you. So
I was really flattered.
good. How long have you and your husband been married? When did you guys get married? It was not very
We
long.
actually, yeah, we actually haven't been married that long. We got married, July 1st would have been our 1 year anniversary.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Jeez, that wasn't long ago at all. How long?
no, just like 8.
Yeah. How long have you guys been together?
That is, I think, hold on, I gotta always do some math because him and I, like, we flirted around for a little bit before we were officially together. But I want to say that 2016, Halloween 2016 is when it became solid. So, like, 8 years almost now, or
Yeah.
right past 8 years.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, so a good minute, man. It's
I
it's
don't think
wild to think about.
well, but what else are you gonna do? So and now you'll be able to grow some cannabis and grow your cactuses and life is good, right?
Yeah, they really are, man. We so right before the wedding, we were going through some like rough stuff with like the housing arrangements, and right after the wedding we moved, and that was a big thing that like kept us from doing um like growing other plants and things as we are renters.
Right.
But now with like the legality changing, we're really excited about that because now like yeah, I mean, I guess they could still get uppity about it because I mean, renters, they can tell you not to have pets, they can tell you not to have all kinds of different things, but at least we don't have to worry about like jail becoming a factor.
Tell you not to grow cannabis? Like honestly,
They
like
probably could.
well, that's like telling me I can't grow a cactus or I can't grow like if it's legal. That's interesting. I wonder how we find that. I want to know the answer to that. I wonder how we find the answer to that because do landlords have the right to govern something that in this case it's not even a legal substance anymore. It's a straight
Right.
legal plant.
Right. But did you know that some landlords can like have policies where you like aren't allowed to plant a garden unless you talk to them? And you're not allowed to like I mean
Is
smoke
it because it's
cigarettes in your house.
Is it because it's their? I guess it's because it's their property. They get to say, and they probably can put that in the clause, especially since a cannabis plant is very aromatic.
That's where my concern lies.
Right. I mean, of course, it's not like to be like, you're growing cannabis. I can smell it. Okay, well, it's legal. Thanks, dude. Like, I don't know. I'm interested. I wonder. There has to be. I wonder. I don't even know where to start looking for something like that. I mean, I'm in a legal state, so like we haven't even gotten that far on the laws and stuff in Kansas, so I can't do much research here. Maybe I should look into Colorado. Maybe I should see if there's somewhere in Colorado you can find that information at. Or if anybody who is listening to this may have that answer, has some ideas how we can find that out. I'd really be interested in that because that's a thing. Like that's a big thing.
Well, and it might be one of those things that we don't even start seeing like the ramifications of, or even like the nuances around that for who knows how long. Because I mean, I'm sure that we're not the only people being like, all right, now that this has changed, we're going to do it. I'm sure we're not.
Oh,
but I imagine that what is that legal term called? The precedent will be set before too long, and we'll start getting some answers. But
for sure.
I wonder how many people even thought about it.
Probably not a lot because, like, I don't know. I wouldn't have either until you said something, and so it does. It makes you wonder where the laws of the landlord and rental agreement goes. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. We're gonna hopefully either can figure that out or whatnot. Because I mean, just since you guys are renters, you're not renters now, right?
Oh, we actually are, yeah.
No, you didn't buy the house yet?
No, I don't. Man, I don't know if I'll end up buying a house if I'm honest with you. Not going to get into that whole thing. That's totally unrelated. But
Hey, I don't know
whew,
your house. I owned a house once, and that was for roughly about 2 years. And I mean, it was actually me and my fiance at the time, and his mom co-signed on it. So actually, I think she actually kind of owned it and like had her names on the deed. I think that's how that worked. But anyways, yeah, not a fan. I've rented ever since then, or I've lived with my parents, and like that's where I'm at now. I'm living back in my parents' house because I'm caretaking for them. So in this, I mean, I work for a title company, so I write policies all day for mortgage policies and the owner policies of properties that have been sold. So the market's crap. Um, there are a lot of outer entities that are buying up our lands, other countries, other places, and they're not just buying little things; they're buying like a good portion of stuff, and things are just sitting. They're not even like getting put anywhere. It's really strange, but the market right now is not good to buy a house in. It's hard for me to want to take out a mortgage that I'm 47 years old. I don't want to take out a mortgage that's going to be like a 30-year mortgage or anything like that. I'm not I'm right there with you. I don't they talk about this whole, you're not going to own anything and you're going to like it. Well, I've never really wanted to own anything. Like, I want to be a nomad. That's what I really want to do. You guys have that. You have that spirit too. You kind of just like, you don't want to be tied down. You want to be kind of free where you can just like pick up and go if you need to. Like, I get it. I get it.
yeah, man, housing market. You hit that nail on the head. The housing, because we talked about maybe like buying a house. That was definitely an option that we looked at. But like, it used to be that if you bought a house, it was significantly cheaper on like the housing payments, and that is still true. Like, I will still say that like the housing payments, but then like all of the other stuff that goes into it with like the insurance and the repairs and all of that, like it just got absolutely crazy when you started breaking it down. And like, I don't know, I can afford to pay rent and I can afford to pay utilities, and like I'm one of those people that wants to work just enough that I am like just enough comfortable, and that's cool by me. I don't need to be rich, I don't need to be rolling in it. I just want to like have some fun and have quality time with my babe and kick it with the family. That's all I'm trying to do.
There's nothing wrong with that, not at all. I think we get a lot of people in the world who are still the programmed mind that you've got to go and make something and do something and leave the mark and make the money and get famous or whatever it is that we at times feel like we are pulled or pushed into. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with being content with what you're doing, as with your family. That's how my son kind of is. Like, he's never been one that was like, I want to be rich, I want to be famous, he's a content kid. Like, he works his job, he loves his girlfriend, he is happy, and he's okay. He's a bass player, and so I really think that has something to do with it. I think bass players just gotta have that nature about them. But no, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, my daughter, she's doing a gap year, and it's been really fun and interesting to watch her because she works full time at the job I work part time at. We both work at this music instrument store, and so like what she learned this gap year was, or so far, is that all there is after high school, if you don't go to school, is work. It doesn't stop. Yeah. It takes up a lot of time doing that you would like to do and other things, but it's a necessity. She has figured out in her head her future, kind of where she wants to go next year and what she wants to do, that's good because she didn't have a lot of direction, right? There was so much. She was just like, I just got out of high school. Oh, I got to go to college. What? I don't even know what I want to do. I don't want to jump into something and spend a whole bunch of money on this one thing and then realize that it's not what I want to do. So taking a gap year, man, I wish I would have done that after college. I wish I was that smart. But I came from the generation of you go through school. After school, you go to college. After college, you go to grad school or you get married and have kids. And that path was what it was. That's why when my kids got to high school and they're like, well, I don't know if I really want to go to college. I don't know if I really want to, I don't know what I want to do. It was kind of like, okay, you don't have to do anything right now. There's no time limit. That's the one thing that I've tried to stress with them is there is no time limit. You can take all the time in the world. Nobody says you have to go and complete college and be done by the time you're 20 some years old. Nobody really said all that. We just have been, that's what's been programmed into us. And without reasoning, why do we do that? So for you to be like, yeah, you want enough to be comfortable? Hell yeah, that's all I want. If I had too much money, I don't know what I'd do with it.
I feel like it would stress me out. I know I get stressed about not having enough money, but I also feel like having too much money would stress me out because of the moral implication.
Well, just the way that society is too much money, you need to be giving that to someone else or you need to be donating it or, yes, I think those are things that I would do with it, but too much money, I'm like you, I would be stressed out because it would be like, oh my God, I got to do something with it. It just can't sit. It's a resource. It's a resource. So,
right, dude, if you have that kind of money and you just sit on it, you end up being just like the billionaires that are hoarding the wealth, which I don't mean to get fully into that. I'm not saying that people don't have the right to do what they want to do with the money they earn.
Right. But that's speaking from a personal standpoint, it's a resource. And so, yeah, I would get just as stressed out trying to figure out what I could do with this resource in the best way. Because, I just want enough to build my dynasty, the DMT World Dynasty. I just need enough money to do that, and we can keep expanding, and we can keep doing our thing and getting better and bringing more people into the community and teaching them how to do this stuff and how giving them information and doing all these things that we're doing. Just enough to do that. I want to be able to pay off my parents' debt before they pass. I would like my debt to be clean, and I'd like to be able to set some stuff aside for my kids so they were good for their future. Other than that, I don't want anything past that. Now that might be some money, but whatever. I'm a hard worker. I might get there eventually. Why not? I might just sit here in front of this little dinky computer and be like, I'm content. Who knows? Did you go to college?
I am, college dropout over here. It's funny you were saying all that stuff about the gap year, and I tried so hard to convince my family to let me take a gap year, and when they wouldn't let me, I went full swing in the opposite direction and was like, fine, I'll get a chemistry major with a biology minor, and I'll fucking show y'all. And then I didn't show them.
I didn't complete either. I got 2 years of college. I went to college my freshman year. Went to Bethany College in Lindsborg, Kansas. And then I was there, met a guy. I was a music performance major. 25 hours my first semester. That was stupid. That was dumb. That was stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that was going to kill me. I didn't know that was going to make me hate school and not want to do anything. And I didn't realize that being a music performance major, that I was going to learn how to dissect music completely down and rebuild it back up. And I could tell you everything about it. I could tell you all the fundamentals of it. I could tell you the history of it. I could tell everything about it. And also I didn't realize that I was going to hate music as much as I did when I was a music performance major, because I couldn't even listen to normal music on the radio or my favorite songs without completely tearing down the music that I was listening to. and then like rebuilding it back up to dissect it down to like to do that. It was horrible. Hated it. Oh, I hated it. Music was miserable to me at that point in time. I couldn't listen to anything and enjoy it. So I got engaged to this guy that I met at college, and we decided he was a music major too. And we decided we were gonna leave school, move back to Topeka. Well, I moved back to Topeka. He moved to Salina, I think is where he moved. And then, he moved up to Topeka. We were engaged. We moved in. We were going to do this whole, I guess we were going to pretend that we were going to do the whole marriage and like have a family and kids. And yeah, no, that's not how that happened. And I don't even know what I was thinking. I think I was in love with the idea of being in love and married, because I would have probably ended up in a divorce for that man, just because I don't think we would have worked out, to be honest. I think most of my relationships would have ended up, if I ever married them, would have ended up in a divorce or worse. So, I made some bad decisions. But I went back to college. We moved back, and that's when we bought that house. This stemmed from buying a house. This whole conversation we just had, it was from me buying a house in college. But yeah, so went to move back, and we bought a house in Lindsborg, and then we went to school for 2 more years there. And I didn't finish, and I left him and took off to go to Chicago, and had a time of my life in Chicago, and didn't care what I was doing. Just, it was good. So I don't know. I'm not that fond of wanting to own a whole bunch of things. I have already had my family. My kids are grown adults now. Like, I'm kind of past that stage. So nomad, that's what I'm pointing at. No, nomad. Because eventually one of these days my parents are going to pass, and my kids are going to be off doing their own thing. And that's just going to leave me to do nothing but be a nomad. So I'm going to come visit you guys and probably like couch surf for a couple of weeks. Is that fine? I'll bring something.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. I just needed the okay. Yes. Okay.
Of course.
I'll just show up one day, knock on your door, be like, do you know?
Right, just like anytime we go anywhere, just make sure you shoot KB that address, just in case.
Just in case.
Don't want her spooking the new people.
That's right. I feel like that's the person I'm going to be. I'm just going to be that person that randomly shows up. It used to be my house was the house. Like, my house was the place everybody came. Like, the house, they titled it The Strange Vibe. There was a song that was actually written about it called Strange Vibe. And it's about the house, HappyKB's house on the main street in Lindsborg, Kansas. So there's a whole song out there somewhere that my friend wrote. And so, like, everybody came to my house, even when I moved here, and like after I had my son, and like everybody just came to my house. It wasn't until after Josie was born and we moved into our house after she's done, I was like, I can't have the people over. I can't have all, because what was going on in my house when everybody came over, I couldn't do that with 2 kids in my house. I mean, like, I had to be straight. I had to be clean. We smoked pot. That was it.
Right. That seems to be like the common parenting one,
Exactly.
I don't see how anybody did it without it, man. I love my nieces and nephews and stuff, but they're a lot sometimes.
For real. And it wasn't until they got a little bit older that psychedelics started coming back into my world. And because they were old enough that I could be in the psychedelic mode and them not be freaked out or be scared or be anything. And then getting back into psychedelics, just kind of, I told, they were at an age where they could understand. So from that point on to now, like, everything I've done, everything we talk about it. My kids and I've talked about it. We talk about what the substances is, what they feel like when they have wanted to try them. We've tried them together. Like, it's just, but I knew I couldn't have all the people all the time at my home and tried to successfully raise 2 kids. And so I gave up the people and kept the kids. But now the kids are grown and both of them are about to be off on their own and doing their own things. So that's going to leave KB to wander. Well, whatever.
Yeah, that's like an interesting thing I've observed in like child rearing. My mom and I have kind of like the opposite with you and your children. My mom, she did smoke pot growing like when I was younger and things like that, but she had never really tried anything else at all. And then after we grew up and got out of the house, I started experimenting with things, and like now I've been like bringing my mom into that loop. And I don't remember exactly where I was going with this, but
Minded
it's
you
just interesting. Oh, yeah. But like it's interesting to see how like that changes. Like now my mom and I like hang out closer to friends and things, and there's like a change in dynamic, and like the conversations are just, I don't know, it's almost like you start to, as equals, end up being a teacher in things too. Like the dynamic between my mom and I has changed so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've now become the one that is teaching and she's learning.
Yeah, and that's like been a wild one for me, having like people who are elders in my family come to me and ask me questions about things like psychedelics. Like my grandma used to be really mean to me and tell me I was like going to be a drug addict and blah blah blah. And so now she comes to me and it's like, so if I wanted something that was cannabis to help with pain, but I really didn't want to go to sleep, like what do you think would be the best way for me to consume that or prepare it? And I'm like, Mama. Okay.
Let me hug you. Okay. See, that is it's good. Like and like it's like when I was giving my mom gummies, THC gummies, to help with pain regulation. Like she wanted to know about it. She wanted to know all about it. And it's when they look to us for guidance and information and knowledge, because they're the ones that raised us. They're the ones that were always the people that had all the answers, and now they come to us. Like, yeah, it's kind of an honorable feeling, because one, you know what you're talking about, and they feel comfortable enough to come and ask you about it. Yes. See, you need to open a dispensary. You need to be a weed counselor. You need to be, you could do it.
Yeah, man, with the legalization, like there's so many things that I want to do. I think I've talked to you about it before, but I love getting experimental with edibles, which I know everybody does that, like everywhere all the time. But like people really, really downplay the full flower benefits when it comes to edibles. So many people want to just run to the THC. I want so many milligrams of THC, but like you're missing out on this entire entourage where if you like extract full flower and put that into a Reese cup, you get a completely different high than if you had extracted a distillate from that and put it in the exact same portions. It's just
exactly. You are exactly right. You're exactly right.
And I just don't know, because I know like dispensaries, they do a lot of that whole like just THC because they want the lab results and they want consistency. And like I just wonder how you could step into that field without that consistency, but still like not face any legal repercussions. Because again, I understand like you want to know how it's going to affect you, but at the same time, I think that like as conscious and like responsible adults, if you want to risk it for the biscuit and eat the whole flower and see what it does, I think you should have the right to do that. And I just don't know.
I agree. I see. Okay, so this is the thing I think I miss the most about. Okay, so being alive through the, we got our Kansas ditch weed, we got our regular Kansas weed, and then like watching it, how it has changed. And yeah, going to the dispensaries. So here's the thing that I miss the most that I've noticed is that when I'm smoking some of this dispensary weed, like, yeah, it gets you super high, but it's like the high doesn't last. It doesn't stick. It doesn't stick like it used to. Like I can remember smoking stuff. And it was like your mind, your body, like everything was macrameed into the chair, and the high is nothing like it used to be when when I would get high before. And I really firmly believe that is because we are breaking down the plant. We are not smoking the whole plant. We're not utilizing everything that is in this quality plant because exactly what you said. We're chasing a high. We're trying to isolate these isotopes in the cannabis plant to try to gear it for specific things. That's not how it works in my opinion. That's not how it works. I think the overall plant itself is what I want and is what I enjoy, because I think the high from it. People are smoking CBD now and they're like, yeah, you can get high off it. And people are like, wait, you can get high off the CBD flower. Well, element of it, yeah. And that's the components that I think we're missing now in some of our weed that we're smoking is the full spectrum of the plant. So there's got to be a way that you can, it might have to be, you have to grow your own plant to do it, Tassie.
Yeah, well, and I'm like totally, obviously, we've mentioned I'm totally down to grow my own, and I definitely want to. It's the like distributing it to other people that I'm not sure about, because like I don't know what the regulations are going to be. Like, you can't grow your own tobacco and sell a pack of cigarettes to somebody.
Because that you need to know the percentage of things that are in that. I don't know enough about testing cannabis and stuff to know how they pull those like, you have so much THC versus so much blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
And to do it the way that I want to, you'd have to do such small batches and do so many tests that you would end up losing such a big quantity. And then like a Reese cup that really rightfully you shouldn't charge more than $5 for, but because of all the testing you've had to do and all the small batches you've had to make, now you got to charge $50 for a Reese's cup that, like, don't get me wrong, it'll fuck you up, but it's not going to be $50 worth,
I say we keep it on the black market.
Yeah, that's pretty much probably what's going to happen. Just selling to friends.
Right. We do bake sales. That's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna just have some good old bake sales, and that's how we're gonna market your stuff. Tassie's bake sale.
Right. Some old lady will hit me up though, and I'll be like, do you know that this is the Bob Marley extra crispy, or like you just want some brownies?
Right. Oh, you want to grab? Oh, you want some out of the grab bag? Okay, we can hook you up. This is a fantastic idea. I'm all about that. No, I think that's good. So, have you done much with what do you like to? What have you done with edibles that you would highlight that you are something that is good? Because, like, do you have these written down somewhere? Do you have a recipe book? Have you ever thought about putting a recipe book together?
So I've never put a recipe book together or even like written them down. Honestly, what happens a lot of the time is I go, okay, I have this amount and I have this kind of oil and this snack sounds good. Okay, so I know that, like, I know that I have to. Yeah. And that's really what happens a lot, man. And like, I've told you, now with the volcano and stuff, I don't even a lot of the times like make it into yummy edibles. I just put coconut oil and weed together and I eat it, and that's makes my nightly treat.
That's yummy. I think that's yummy sounding.
Oh, it's not. But I keep saying Reese cups because that was like one of the first things that we ever made when we first got a vaporizer. So like we had all of this vaporized stuff, and I was like, peanut butter. We'll just put it in peanut butter, cover it in chocolate, and life will be good. And honestly, because you were putting the whole flour in there, it made it almost like a crunchy peanut butter, and the chocolate and the weed taste together.
Yes, I need you to be writing these things down. We need what's called documentation. Because you never know, DMT World may be able to have a cookbook and a poTASSYum's edible cookbook. You never know. Like we can, along with this book we were talking about, we could get it published the same place. Speaking of book, tell me about this children's book that you have this idea for. I was thinking about this the other day.
So honestly, I've started a couple different ones, but the one that I've made the most progress on
Mhm.
is about a little guy named Rupert Rue, which, funnily enough, was what my mom used to call me when I was younger. She'd call me Rupert Rue all the time. But he's just like a little guy who nobody knew what he was going to be. It's very Dr. Seussian. It's got a lot of rhymes and things like that. Without giving away the ending, though, he grows up to be something that nobody ever expected. And
Mhm.
I think it's super fun and cute. It's been frustrating me because, like, I'm great at illustrating in my mind,
Right.
but I am not great at illustrating on paper. So
Yeah.
much erasing has happened.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
But
understand.
luckily, I have those pages mapped out. I have the pages mapped out. I have like his like character concept sketched out. I have um like what I want to put on each page. So already like kind of sketched out and have all my ideas together. Um, so yeah, I really just have to get big enough paper to actually make page sized and put it and color it and put it together, but I actually have way more of the skeleton done than I honestly ever thought I would.
Oh, nice. What inspired this story?
So I am always walking around the house just like talking in rhyme or singing or just like kind of being goofy.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a little unhinged sometimes. And so I just one night was like making a little poem, like just Rupert Rube, blah, blah, like doing the stuff. And I was like, that's cute. That would be a cute kid's book. Clap was like, write it down. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then it would just like little, like phrases for it would just pop into my head. And so I would like text them to myself and be like, all right, here is this little part of it. And then I was like, I'm going to just sit down and sketch. And his little character came up and I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is that brought it to me, but I don't know. It felt like I needed to do it. And I've had several times where I've been like overwhelmed by the like, okay, go ahead and do this. Like sit down and take time to do it and get it down. I don't know. Sorry, I like rambled on that for a second. I don't
I
really know
like.
how to explain it.
No, I like it. I'm glad that you were telling me that. I've always. I like. I like the concept of a children's book. I can't simplistically write and well enough. Like, can't simplify it down to be able to, like, when I write, like, I write lavishly. I was a literature major when I went to college. Well, I guess I was actually a contract lit theater music. I was musical theater because we didn't have two directors heading up the department, so I had to contract it with anything if I wanted to be a theater major. But literature, I was a part literature major, so I write in lavishly. I like vocabulary. I like beautiful words. I like big long words. I like things like that. So to write a children's book is incredibly hard for me because of the simplistic factor of it. When my kids were little, my mother would say to me, "Why do you talk to your kids in such big words?" And that didn't never make sense to me. I thought, well, and I used to tell her, because if I'm speaking to them in these large, lavish words now, when as they get older, they're going to know what they mean. And so, like, that's just how I think. So I think it's great to that you want to write children's books, because I like, my kids read books. My daughter wanted to read. That's all she wanted to do is read books. She used to carry them up the stairs to my mom, and my mom would read her like 6 books before she went to bed. And then she'd like, nope, you've got it. I'm done. So she'd come down with a little pouty face, and she'd walk over to me with her big old eyes, and nope, I'm not reading. And she'd go and lay down and go to bed. But I think it's great. Children's books are a wonderful thing to aspire to want to do. So while you're doing that children's book, you're also going to be writing a recipe book down for me, so I can have recipes of all your edible things that you do, right?
Yeah, sure thing. I
See,
mean, if you really want the edible cookbook, I'll start putting it together.
absolutely. I think you should do that. I think that's a marvelous idea. Oh
Not
my
to go
goodness.
back onto the edibles too much, but have you ever heard of a haystack?
Is that like is that the it's peanut butter and it's what are they made out of? Is it the Chinese noodles that you get?
Yeah, they are the Chinese
Yes,
noodles.
I knew that it was something. I was like, what are they? My aunt used to make something like that for Christmas, and I love them. I think those would be really good with THC in them.
They are. And like, those have been one of my favorites. I will admit that they are not like you have to eat a lot because they're a bulkier snack. They're hard to get like a high percentage into. But that has been one of like my favorite, like most fun, creative makes that we've ever done.
That's a
And it
great
was,
idea. Yum,
yeah,
yum.
it was a request by somebody who we were like, yeah, dude, you give us the money and the supplies and we'll make anything that has oil into it. And he's like, do you think you could do this? And I was like, I think I will figure it out.
Yes, absolutely. Have you ever made the Christmas wreaths? So it's kind of like I think it's frosted flakes or it's a wheat flake, kind of like that. And it's done kind of with the marshmallow, and you do it, turn it green,
Ooh.
and you make them into a like a Christmas wreath, and then you get red hots, and you put the red hots on there for like the mold, like the berries. And then my aunt used to do just some frosting on there and make the little bow that was on there. But those are pretty good. You probably could THC those up too. So just
Yeah, it sounds like you could, but I've never done that, but they sound fire.
oh, they are so good. I used to sit there and sneak them off the tray and eat them all. That way they didn't yell at me for eating too many. Because Christmas, Christmas. So you edibles. What else? What else have you made that might be tempting for me to want you
Of
to?
course, of course, there's the standard brownie, the standard Rice Krispie treat. I told you about the haystacks and the Reese's. You can make drinks if you have like lecithin. You can get like sunflower lecithin, and you can like emulsify it into drinks. Um, because otherwise it'll separate. Like the oil will separate from the water. But if you use the lecithin, you can like incorporate them in there. I have not personally made my own, but I once had a Kool-Aid that was divine.
Sounds good. Mm-hmm.
And then what is something else that I've made that I've really enjoyed? Um, you can make, so we made chai tea one time that I really liked because you can use like, have you heard of people putting butter in their coffee?
Yes, because the fat content is really good for you. It helps
Yeah, so like,
you.
yeah, so using that in like a chai tea, because we don't drink a lot of coffee, but we drink a lot of tea. But we did that with a little bit of the butter as like the creamer for the chai tea, and that went surprisingly well. Like I was kind of nervous about the fat layer on the top, and this was before the like butter and olive oil coffee thing at Starbucks. This was like before all of that, so I thought we were like extra weird, but it really worked. It really
It
worked.
does. It actually, it's a keto thing. It helps burn
Hmm.
the fat, or it does something. Yeah, it's actually quite good for you, which is kind of interesting. But my friend makes THC butter drops, and that's what they're for.
Oh.
Yeah, that to put them in my coffee and put them in stuff, and they're delicioso. So I'm gonna need you to write that down in your book.
I got you. I'll keep you. I'm just gonna put a like section that's like, here's how you infuse all of these oils, and then
Exactly.
here are the recipes,
Yeah,
and then here are the recipes that taste good.
absolutely. That's exactly how you do it. I used to make brownies. So my two friends that I used to work with, we decided we were going to go to Las Vegas, right? So they were like, maybe you should make some of your brownies, KB, and we'll eat them on the way to Kansas City, and we'll get on the airplane and we'll be nice and high. And then we were going, we had like a layover at Arizona, and then we're going to go to Vegas. And I'm like, okay. So there's three of us, right? I make like the bite size brownie bites, and there's like 30 of them. And so between Topeka and Kansas City, we sat and ate all these 8 brownie bites. Well, we ate them all. We
Oh
each,
no.
yeah, we each 10 of these things. We were on that plane. We were so high. My one friend was so high, like she she had to go to the bathroom. She gets up and she's walking to the back. She basically face planted into the door because she passed out. She just passed out. The poor steward came up and he's like, I think there's something wrong with your friend. And we like turn around and she's like on the floor, face down on the floor. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I'm starting to freak out. I'm in paranoia land at this point in time because I know they know. I know they knew we were high. I knew that they were going to they were going to stop the plane. They were going to kick us off. They were going to, so the steward comes up and he's like, I can't believe you would just leave your friend back there. And like, I'm freaking out in the minute. My other friend is sitting there laughing. She thinks it's hysterical. And so the steward's like, I'm just messing with you. She's all right. We picked her up. She's back there getting her wits together, gave her something to drink. And so she comes back and she sits down and she's like, looks at me and she's just pale. Like she has no color in her face. She was so high. I felt so bad. But they told me to make the brownies. So it wasn't my fault that she was a lightweight. I didn't know she couldn't handle 10 brownie bites.
Right. She ate 10 of them. Not you. I mean, you did too, but like you didn't make her.
I have a little bit more mass on me. So like, I think that like just, kind of weighed everything out, but I don't know. That was sure fun trip though. We were really high for a really, really long time. So, and those were full flower. Those were a full spectrum flower.
And that's why she got it.
Exactly right. Because I left, I do the whole butter thing and then I put the weed in there afterwards, finally grind up because I like the mealiness of it. Yeah. So those were, I've never made anything else. I do have a friend that she makes gummies and she's been making gummies for quite some time and she has like I was there in the beginning when she started making gummies. And like in the beginning, they weren't very good. I mean, we still ate them, but they weren't very good. But now, like she's got it down. She's got the recipe down. So I have so much faith in you because we're going to open a shop and it's going to be your full spectrum edibles. That's future. That's future. Just so you know.
Okay. I mean, when you're batting over here, we'll make it happen.
That's right. I'm going to make it happen. Be like, okay, this is what we do. Oh my goodness. So what did you do today? Anything fun?
No, not really. I'm not going to lie. I fucking did those, how I told you I just go crazy with the oil and just vape the weed. Yeah, I did that last night. And then I woke up this morning and spent most of the day just laying on the couch trying to wake up. Like, nice. I don't know, every once in a while, man, they take me by surprise every once in a while. About once a month, I wake up like, oops.
Yep. So tell me, what is your favorite psychedelic that you have utilized?
Well, it used to be LSD every time. Like, would always say that was my favorite. Didn't have any competition. And then I had the Reckoning. And since then, I just really haven't been called to that. And I will say, though, that like Molly has been so kind to me since I've had my extremes with different things. So I would say that Molly is probably my favorite right now. But also Cactus is just so like gentle and kind. But I will admit that I have not communed with it as far as I would like to, because I just wanted to get to know him a little better before, like, I don't know, before diving back into psychedelics. Psychedelics and I had a rough patch for a little while, which I've touched on that on the site. I've touched on that with you. And,
tell me a little bit about it, because not everybody has probably seen it or knows about it.
So Bicycle Day of 2021, I believe. Yeah. Clapp and I decided to go camping, and he was testing a batch of cactus, and I was like, well, I'm going to do LSD because I'd been feeling a call from her for so long. Like, I really had been experimenting with her quite a lot. Like, tried to do a dose by myself, and then that didn't end up working out. And so I just knew that there was something big going to happen, and I knew that LSD was like at the center of it.
Right.
So I was like, that's what I'm doing tonight. And then that night we ended up making RSO. And at the peak, we were like, we're going to do some RSO so that we can get some sleep. And that's going to be great. And because I was tripping and doing it, I ended up scraping the entire bottom of the dish of our RSO, which I don't remember exactly how much was in there, but I know it was more than I should have been doing even when I was sober.
Yeah.
And so I ate that, and he was like, okay, how much is left? And I was like, none. And he was like, oh, I was going to have some of that for tomorrow. And I was like, oh, I thought the rest was for me. My bad. But I didn't think anything of it. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think anything of it. It was just like, well, I'm just about to be fucking high, I guess.
Right.
So it's cold because it's April in the Midwest, and we decide to get in the tent and lay down and get all cuddly, and then just I know that anybody listening to this who's been through the experience will understand when I say, like, I just got the joke. All of a sudden we were laying down cuddling, and I just started laughing hysterically, like, and you know how it is, you can't explain it. It just all made sense all of a sudden, and it was just hilarious. And he was like, what's so funny? And I was like, I can't even tell you because it won't even make any sense. I just got the joke. He's like, oh shit. He had the realization that something was going on. And like that night from then on is just a roller coaster. Poor Clap had to listen to me be like, trust me, my life's a book. It's over. Everything is perfect. So that poor guy, I was like, the pencil is running out. The pages are closing. And I was like, yeah, poor guy. I was like, it's because I'm so in love with you, and we're perfect, and you're everything. Which that is a lot to say to a person. Like,
so are you married yet?
No, we were not married.
He made it through that, so it must be a match made in heaven.
Well, not gonna lie, like that was. I think that leading up to that, I had a hard time like admitting to myself how much he meant to me. Yeah. And like honestly, that experience is like a very shaping experience for us. Like I'm gonna get sappy and like a lot for a moment. But like that really showed me that he's my everything. He was my purpose, and like I just needed to admit that to myself, because as long as I tried to deny that, I was never gonna be happy. And it has changed my life. Like letting that be the forefront and the like guider of my life has really, really made me happy. And I'm not saying that everybody's like happiness lies with another person, but it was just so apparent to me that like him and I are one. Good. And yeah, I mean, that's such a like weird thing to say, but
that's not weird at all. That's not weird at all. I think everybody has a somebody, and you just were lucky enough to find your somebody. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And excuse me, I'm hitting my pen while I'm trying to talk. Dang it, I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to say something. It was going to say something worthy and magnificent, and I can't remember what it was. So, okay, well, whatever. I'm glad you found your somebody. Oh, I know what I was going to say. When you meet people and you can see that people just mesh. They're like, when a person has found their person, like you can see it, like they just kind of mold together. That's what you two look like together. So I know you found your person. So you just be all mushy and all happy and all gushy about that, because it's a great thing.
Yeah, Lord knows I can't help myself, man. I can't help myself being mushy about that boy.
That's why you married him.
It is true. It is true. Like I said, that night really molded us. I think that let him know that I was like all in. And it let me know that I could say some wild, unhinged stuff to him, and he wouldn't just leave me for it. Because that was definitely something
He's like, okay.
Well, there was a time in the tent. So, like, there was a moment where I asked him if him and I were okay because I was saying all that stuff. Like, I asked him if him and I were okay, meaning, like, you're not about to break up with me right now, are you? Because that was the thing I was worried about. And he looked at me and said, I don't know. Because he thought, like, I don't know if the cops are about to show up because you've been screaming for 30 minutes.
Right.
And I was devastated. Like, that, him being like, I don't know, that, like, brought me back in a weird way. Like, me being like, oh my God, he's going to leave me now. Because he, like, so, well, when we were leaving in the morning, I was like, so do you still love me? And he was like, yeah, what? Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
So, yeah, it's like a funny thing now that I'm like, no, I really thought, like, I was like, oof, that's a lot to, like, throw at a person.
Right. How long have you been? Hey, how long have you been on the site? Do you know how long have you been in our community?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know I didn't join right after he did. I did kind of quickly after he did.
I can tell you.
And then
you've been a member since January 21st of 2021.
Yeah, so about 3 months before that happened is when I joined the community.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh.
You joined on my birthday. That's awesome.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. I'll wish you a happy anniversary and you'll wish me a happy birthday. That's perfect. We'll never forget the moments of our lives.
Oh.
That's funny.
But yeah, so, but then after that night, the reason we brought that up, that night made using THC very, like, hard for me for a very long time.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I'm like just now really starting to be able to use it reliably without putting myself back into that headspace.
I know you're a Kratom user, so
yeah.
Sorry, I'm coughing really bad. Tell me about Kratom. Tell me about what it is about Kratom that you like. What do you use it for? Because I know people use it for different things. I've never used Kratom, so I don't know anything about it. So tell me some things about it.
So starting at the beginning, one of the things I always really like to tell people about Kratom, like, who are curious about it, is that it is obviously a plant. It is a leaf from the Mitra genus Speciosa, which I might be pronouncing that wrong. I only ever read it on the internet. But it's from that plant. And the plant has different alkaloids in it based on different, like, points of its development. And they tell what kind of alkaloids are in it based on the, like, vein structure. So the veins can be white, red, green, or yellow. And whites and greens are going to be more on the energy spectrum.
Right.
Yellows are going to be in the middle. And then reds are going to be more like pain relief and like mood elevation.
Okay.
So that's where I like to start with those. And it works by using your mu opioid receptors. So it doesn't act on all of them, so it doesn't do the, like, breath suppression and things like that other opioids will do. Not that I'm saying that this is an opioid. It just acts on the same receptors. And so I really like it because I use it for pain relief. I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis when I was 3 years old. So I've had a lot of chronic joint pain through my life. And I've experimented with a lot of different things for that. And then when Clapp and I first started spending time together again, he had been using it for pain management as well. And then I had gotten into a car accident. I had to get an oral surgery, like, while still recovering from my car accident. So I had just been loaded down with pharmaceuticals at that time. And he was like, why don't you try this? Like, it's been one of the best things for me. Why don't you try it? And it truly has been one of the best things for me. I've been using it for a very long time. I know that, like, withdrawals are oftentimes a concern for people. And I know that everybody is different, but I will say that I have never struggled with not having my kratom for an extended period of time the way that I would struggle when I was on different things. Like when I was on tramadol, when I was in high school, if I didn't have it like right when I was supposed to have it, my pain would be almost excruciating. Whereas now that I use kratom, like we try to do it on a 6-hour regimen, but there are
Right.
times that I forget to take it to work and I don't have it for 12. And there are times where I am traveling and I end up staying a night somewhere longer than I thought I would, and I don't have it for 24 hours. And if I said that, like, oh, I don't notice, I'd be a liar. Like, I'm not going to lie. I notice when I don't have it, but not the same way that I used to notice other things. Like this, I can take some Aleve and take it easy and be okay.
Right.
Whereas when I was like I said, tramadol, or even when I was on Vicodins when I was younger, if I didn't have those right when I was supposed to take them for my pain, it was more than just my knees hurting. It was now my guts hurt and now my head hurts and now I'm just miserable. And I don't have to face that nearly as much with kratom. Now other people are different. Like there are like downs to it. Like if I said I'd never been nauseous off it, I'd be a liar. I've definitely puked because of it. But that's been the biggest one for me is nausea. Like if I'm going to have an issue, that's the issue I'm going to have. And now that I've been using it as regularly as I have, figured out my dose and I do it every day, I never have issues with nausea anymore.
Oh, that's good. That's real good. Dosing. What is your dose that you take of them?
I do, so like I do a taper up dose through the day. My first dose of the day is 2, and I usually do that as a green or a white. My middle dose of the day, I do 2.5, and I usually do that as a red or a yellow. And then my third dose of the day, I do like 2.75 to 3, depending upon how sore I am.
Right.
And I always do a red at night. And then Clap, he starts his at 3, and then pretty much the same thing, just with his starting at 3 instead of 2.
Well, you both have always talked very positive about kratom, and I know a lot of people that do it that praise it. I know a few that are kind of the Debbie Downer when it comes to kratom, but I'm always fascinated watching you utilizing it when we were around you was fascinating because I've just never used kratom before. So that's cool. I think we used to have who was it? Two Live, he used to sell kratom, and he was on our site for a while, and so he knew a lot about it. But I only know you don't hear a lot about kratom as much as you used to. I don't know if it's people aren't using it or if it's just it's legal now in most places. I don't know. I know Kansas, it's legal here, but I think it's Missouri that I don't think it's. Is it Missouri? There's another state around here where I know it's not legal. They won't have it anywhere. So I don't know.
Maybe Alabama, because I think Alabama is like super duper against it, if I'm correct on that.
It might be Alabama. I think you're right.
Well, and like I devil's advocate moment here. I completely understand like the worry around it. Now, I will say that like I don't believe that you could get enough into you to kill you like you can with other drugs and things like that. But again, I do think that there are ways to abuse it and ways to misuse it. And I do think that just like any substance, there is like room for abuse of it. If you aren't coming into it with like an idea, I definitely think that like taking it on a scheduled regimen where you weigh it out is like the way to do it. That way, if you ever are starting to have problems, you can kind of track if it is related to that or if it is external and something else. Because if you're just always throwing a random spoonful into your bottle and you never have any regularity to it and you start having stomach issues, is it the kratom? Is it the kratom because you've been doing too much? Is it just it because it's heavy in the plant matter? Is it like, I just think that anything that you do that has the potential to cause issue, because again, you're putting a massive amount of fiber into your stomach when you're taking kratom. Like it's a ground up leaf. that
Right.
has the potential to cause, even without the alkaloids or any other side effects, that has the potential to cause intestinal distress. Now, this is maybe TMI. For me, I'm very lucky because it has allowed me to introduce fiber that is actually helpful to me. But
Yeah.
I've had friends who are like, yeah, if I take kratom, it hurts my stomach awfully, not because I'm too fucked up or anything like that, but because there's just so much fiber in it that they get
They can't break
constipated.
it down. Yeah, their stomach can't handle it.
Right, right. So like I am on the lucky end that reintroducing that fiber has helped me with my like regularity, but it is not the case for
Absolutely.
everybody.
Especially as you get older, like that's going to really benefit you just in the bowel areas. So yeah, that's a good idea. That's good reasoning. So, well, with that being said, this has been a very, very, very fun interview. It's been so fun to get to talk to you because I don't think we've talked since really.
No, I'm really bad about staying in contact with people. So this has been a like nice like catch up,
Right, because it's like,
get like
yeah,
friends.
because we've got to hear each other and like, and just, yeah, it feels like no time's passed since the last time I saw you. So,
Well, good. I'm glad.
what I normally ask is, so this is your moment to say whatever you would like to the DMT world community that is listening to you. So it can be a poem, it can be a thought, it can be a gratitude, it can be anything. So this is your time right here to say whatever it is you'd like to say to the DMT community.
Well, DMT world, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for welcoming me with open arms. I've always felt so very welcomed by everybody. Thank you for giving me a place to work through my thoughts and experiences where I don't feel like everybody's head is turned to the side at me. Thank you for sharing your experiences so that we can connect and grow. And thank you for just wanting to make the world a better place and being part of it. And thank you for letting me be part of it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it was so good to have you on here. Thank you for accepting the invite. And with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed this interview and keep ascending, friends.